Our guest tonight is Nicole Homer. She is the Dartmouth poet in residence at the Frost Place. Her first full-length collection of poetry is this book, Pecking Order. We have 2 copies that can be taken out, and she will also have some to sell at the end of the program. It's her first full-length collection of poems published by Right Bloody Press, and it was a finalist for the 2018 Paterson Poetry Prize. There was a quote by her in the Mercer County Community College News, and she is a professor at the Mercer County Community College, where she says about the writing of the book, "I am challenging the notion of family by forcing the reader to examine how race performance, and colorism impact motherhood immediately and from generation to generation." She says, "In a world where race and color often determine treatment, the home should be a sanctuary, but often is not." Something to think about. I am a huge fan of slam poetry, which I never knew existed until a few years ago. I love listening to it. I love the expression. I love that it's out there. And Nicole started out in 2005 participating in the LoserSlam in New Jersey, Urbana in New York. She was a finalist in both team and individual slams in the National Poetry Slam, the Individual World Poetry Slam, and the Women of the World Poetry Slam. She's a full-time faculty member, as I said, of Mercer County Community College in New Jersey. And we're very happy to have her here tonight. Nicole Homer.
Hi.
Hi.
How are we doing today? Good?
A little warm.
Yeah, I'm with you. I have water. I hope you have water as well. I'm going to do so. I always do this thing where I think very deeply and for a long time about what I'm going to read. And then I get here, and that doesn't happen. So bear with me. So, for example, I did not expect one of my professors from my MFA program to be here. Hello. But she is. So I think we're just going to respond in the moment. And so this was, in theory, the poems I was going to read, but I'm not sure how that's going to go. So you'll forgive me if I maybe read some new stuff off of my computer. But why don't I start with a poem I actually wrote after Brenda Shaughnessy, who was also one of my professors at Rutgers-Newark. This is "I Wish I Was More Mothers." One to take the picture, another to be in it. One more still to apply the filter and type #NoFilter. One to pin the things on Pinterest. One to collect the pine cones and organize the glitter and buy the 12 by 12 crafting paper, and one to schedule the photo shoot and to slick each child's hair, to buy the matching outfits and iron each one into a stiff perfection. One to say, let the horde of them go to school in whatever they want. One to send the holiday cards, to handwrite the addresses, to buy the personalized stamps and send them well before the season passes. One to match each small sock to its lonely mate, and not only wash, but fold and even put away the laundry. One to pay the wash and fold service. One to just buy new clothes. One to learn to sew, to mend, to darn everything we break with our bodies. One to make dinner, to try the new recipes from a curated list of mommy blogs. One to mommy blog, to package each day into less than 1,000 words and to moral the other moms might be shamed into pretending to believe. One to be condescended. One to be shamed, one to breastfeed in public, areola casually displayed as we, the clucking and laughing mothers, eat guacamole at a local organic eatery. One to breastfeed in the bathroom, with the wafting aroma of urine to remind me of my place. One to breastfeed at home, between the private walls and jags of crying. One to cry nonstop for years, in private and in public, to look, unblinking, at the other mother's iron pants and perfect eye makeup. One to lament the life we will never live. One to brunch. One to develop an unhealthy reliance on alcohol or brownies or pills or another woman whose sadness and understanding makes her me. One to have the affair. One to repent. Another to schedule the marriage counseling, to write the appointments on the large dry erased calendar. one to bump into it in the night and wipe it blank with an errant shoulder, one to walk the dogs, feed the fish, change the litter box, one to say no. The house is too small for even one more living thing, one to fall out of love and leave, one to fall out of love and stay, one to stay in love and leave anyway, one to listen to all the saddest songs and stay listening, one to fuck like childless women do, with abandon and the blade of consequence inches above the impending orgasm, one to fuck like a mother, as if the worst has already happened, as if the best has already happened, as if today, now, the orgasm makes the laundry doable. One to fuck like a mother who has forgotten her children, moaning too loud, mouth too open, walls too thin, thinking they're gonna have to learn somehow. One to make the lunches, one to tell the nanny to make the lunches, one to say find your own lunch for once, one to stay home, to sweep, to clean, to know where each toy is likely hiding, to think, what am I giving up to be here? One to go out into the market, to earn, to wonder where the children are in this exact moment as the projector fails, or the manager scolds, or the shirt's seams face outward like a neon sign announcing who we really are, to think, what am I giving up to be here? One to kiss the babies, to miracle small scrapes into laughter, one to laugh, one to say to the rest of us, we are doing okay. We are doing what needs to be done. One to call our mothers and forgive or accuse, and one to answer when the call comes for us. So normally I'm like sometimes the only parent in the room. I'm assuming I'm not. How many of us are parents? Awesome, I found my people, cool. So this is decidedly much shorter than that, and this is called Motherhood, and it's kind of where the title of the book comes from. Motherhood is like being pecked to death by my favorite birds, made from my body, torn by beaks sharpened on the woman I was when I slept more, or sang the song I stole out of my mother's mouth. So in the introduction, when I talk about this book, it's kind of impossible to talk about the book without talking about colorism and my experience of it. So to kind of like give the context for that, and maybe read something slightly more lighthearted, which for me is not really lighthearted at all, spoiler. I am of mixed heritage, and so are my children. So the father of my children is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white guy. I am not. And I have a son who is also a blonde-haired, blue-eyed kid. Didn't see that coming, wasn't prepared for it. And so I spend a decent amount of the book and my life navigating that. And how does someone who relates to the world culturally the way that I do raise a child who no one will relate to in the way that they relate to me, which is kind of a complicated thing for me. And this is about that. The woman who is not the nanny answers at the grocery store concerning the evidently mismatched children in and around her cart. I stabbed her, the skinny half-calf and the high-waisted yoga pants, so I can only assume that she is still in the alley behind this fine establishment, bleeding out. I aimed for the femoral artery. Hopefully it was quick and painless as these things can be. See, what I like to do after a kill is abduct the children of my victim, and then, this is my unique signature, my MO, if you will, I like to take the children on mundane errands. See, that's why we're here, buying frozen microwavable chicken nuggets, because nothing quite says murderous spree like organic chicken breast dipped in a 7 whole grain bread mixture. I couldn't help but notice how hungry your children look. No, don't stop now. I am enjoying the very specific and prying questions that you are levying at me. There's a level of brutal honesty that I can only achieve with a complete stranger. For instance, this one, my boy, it was so hard to get him. I had to practically bribe the IVF doctor to put that white woman's eggs in me. It feels so good to say that out loud. These two, they aren't even twins. I stole one from a yoga instructor, busy berating the barista at Whole Foods. This feels so good. Let's go pick up some hummus, then head to aisle 3 for chips. I have so many questions for you. About your home training, about the one in your cart and his uncleft chin. Say, I don't know what you would call me in relationship to them. I feed them, dress them, read them stories, and I have been called things so much worse than nanny. But you know that, don't you? They're adopted, all of them. These, the 3 brats in aisle 9, the unattended one in dairy, the 2 screaming for a mother at checkout, all of them. I've been eyeing yours. I'm starting a band. See, we're only gonna do cover songs. Only Sly and the Family Stone or only Ted Nugent. I'm still deciding. See, I know that we can only be one thing or the other. Do you need a nanny? Can that one in the cart hit a high E? Are you in the market for childcare services? How are her teeth? See, I'm truly sorry that I don't have a resume or list of references handy. The nanny position that you have made up during this brief conversation sounds delightful, especially the detail about traveling with the family. I too like to have the help with me. I mean, can I really be trusted to care for these mixed-matched children here on my own? Do you know how hard it is to get the blood of strangers out of cotton? Oh, look at your girl smiling up at me. I think she likes me. So that happens a lot, which is unexpected and I wasn't exactly prepared for. And it happens to my mom a lot too, who is of darker complexion than I am, and is from a different place and time, and so reacts in different ways. And this poem is about my mother. It's called The Grandmother Says, The Mother Thinks. These people better be glad I found Jesus. This is how I know my mother thought about hitting the woman in the store. How's she gonna almost break her neck looking at us, then trying to act like she ain't just do a double, a triple take? I don't know what to do with my hands. So Jesus has always eluded me. I fold my arms, lean against her kitchen wall, look out the window. Maybe he's in the neighbor's yard. It's so funny to see their faces. I know you know. But they half fall and hurt themselves trying to figure out who this little, she's careful not to say white, boy is to me. Then when he screams out, Grandma, I have to try so hard not to laugh at their eyes bugging out their faces. She doubles over now. Under the weight of the repeated scene, its hilarity, you know I know how to talk. She dusts off the voice we use to open doors. So I just go about my business in the store like I don't see them. And I say stuff like, she adjusts her posture. Now each vertebra and syllable are aligned, distinct, but cooperating. Now what are we going to have for lunch today? She returns to herself, to me. Proper, because you know I know how to talk, and they expecting, well, I don't know what they expecting, but it ain't me. I have been thinking a lot about bodies for a long time, and I actually was just at Chautauqua having a conversation with 2 other poets about bodies. One of the poets is deaf, and another one of the poets lives with disability, and we were talking about our relationships to bodies. And so I think maybe, if you'll indulge me, I'm going to kind of go on that slant, which is not entirely off of what I was doing, but let's do that. This is called Hunger. When I speak of hunger, I speak of the new mouth. Praise the toothless appetite that is instinct alone. I point to my bloodied nipple. I speak of the wince my body remembers. I speak of a small mouth wrapped around the pain of me learning what to do. Praise the blood-tinged milk. I've never known a hunger as unembarrassed as the opened mouth of a 4-pound baby. Praise the engorged breast that woke me in the night before the crying did. I speak of my body, hungry for the toothless mouth's hunger. Praise the nipple that heals slowly, but heals. Praise the milk. Praise even the stained shirts. I speak of evidence that the thought of a hungry mouth has made me consumable. I speak of hunger. I speak of our bodies, and I become a mouth. I'm going to read something newish, if you will let me do that. So I've also been thinking a lot about, I guess since writing this book, I've been thinking a lot about the ways in which the body processes memory, and the ways in which we hold memory in our bodies. In a past life, I was a massage therapist, which is a really interesting relationship to have to a stranger's body. They come to you, you touch them in ways that you generally wouldn't, and people have very specific physical responses to touch depending on what experiences their bodies have had. And so I've been thinking a lot about that. Self-portrait as the definition of amnesia. Amnesia, noun, a partial or total loss of memory from the Greek without, from the Greek memory. Noun, the forgetting of things and places and people. Noun, amnesiac. Noun, possum. Noun, a curtain I draw around my hospice bed. Adjective, soft. Adjective, blurry. Adjective, manageable. Verb, to erase from memory. To not recall. To wake up and go to work without crying. Adverb, safely, softly, possibly. Use it in a sentence. Once, at a party, a boy I knew, and no one stopped him. Another sentence. The first time he, me, I, and then it was morning. Then it was 2 years later. And now I can't. Noun, shield. Noun, door, closed. Noun, the body that does not dance anymore. Antonym, I can't remember ever being happier than I am right now. Use it in a question. Were you there when? Did you see? Do you remember the hands that? So why should I? How are we doing? Good? Okay. You're very quiet. I'm not used to it. I read for a lot of teenagers and also very small children. Not these poems, because I'm not great with kids, but I'm not that bad either. So there's a lot of crying. Not necessarily because of my poems, but just because that's kind of where 6-year-olds are in life. So let me read another poem about what we do with our bodies. And this is, I guess, my sad, very sad attempt at a love poem, which is why I'll maybe die alone. It's okay, I've made peace with it, it's okay. It's called Underbelly. Would-be love, do not think of me as a whetstone until you hear the whole story. See, in it, I'm not the hero, but I'm not the villain either. So let's say, in the story, I was human and made of human things. Fear and hands, underbelly and blade. Let me say it plain. I'd loved someone, and I failed at it. Let me say it another way. I like to call myself wound, but I will answer to knife. Sometimes I think you and I have the same name, not quite love. I want to be soft, to say, here is my underbelly. I want you to hold the knife by the handle, but I don't know what I mean by that. Plunge or mercy, I deserve both. I want to hold and be held. Let me say it again, possible love, I'm not sure you should. See, the truth is, if you don't, I won't die of want or lonely, just time. And not now, not even soon. And that's how every story ends eventually anyway. But here's how one might start. Before. The truth, I'm not a liar, but I close my eyes a lot, could be love. Before I let a blade slide itself sharp against me, look at where I once bloomed, red and pulsing, a keloid history. I have not forgotten the knife, or that I loved it, or what it was like before. My unscarred body visits me in dreams and photographs. Maybe love, I barely recognize it without the armor of its scars. I am trying to tell the truth. The dreams are how I haunt myself. Maybe I'm not telling the whole story. I love someone, and now I don't. I can't promise to leave you unscarred. The truth, I am a map of every blade I ever held. This is not a dream. Look at us now, all grit and density. What would-be love do you know of knives? Do you think that you are a soft thing? I don't. Maybe the truth is both, blade and guard. My truth is blade, my hands on the blade, my hands the blade, my hands carving and recarving every overzealous, fibrous memory. The truth is, I want to hold your hands because they are like mine, holding a knife by the blade and sharpening it. In your dreams, how much invitation to pierce is your body? Perhaps, love, the truth is, a knife can also sharpen a knife. The truth is, I am afraid we are both knives, both stones, both scarred, or we will be. The most important part of the story is this: I have made fire before, stone against stone. Might be loved, I have sharpened knives before, blade against blade. I have hurt and hungered before, flesh against flesh. And so I cannot make you a dull promise. Did we watch Golden Girls? Yes? Golden Girls? We've seen it? Yes? Okay. I have like I love the Golden Girls a lot. Too much, kind of probably will have a chapbook dedicated to that show at some point. So this is maybe the poem that kind of set me off in the direction of I need to write poems for all of these women. Praise be the patron saint of loose women. Go to the altar, light a candle, leave a slice of cheesecake and a soiled pair of panties so she know you bout it. My saint doesn't love just anyone. She's not that kind of woman. See, Blanche Devereaux says I should fuck you. Blanche says I should fuck everyone though, so don't be offended. It's nothing personal. Her advice or the possible fucking. This is how she answers prayers. On a date once, a 4-ounce bottle of lube tumbled from my bag, landed on the table between us. We knew then that it was inevitable, even though it's always inevitable if you ask Blanche. I ask for forgiveness. Blanche says, no one can forgive you that horrible eyeliner, those high-waisted jeans. She hands me a slice of cake so rich I think it must be made of Miami retirees or else her leftovers. Tell me about the South, I say. Honey, I'm old. I was old when you met me. You don't want to know about my South. Here's what I can say. My father, Big Daddy, employed a black woman to watch the house and keep it. Mistresses have patron saints too, are loyal too, gotta earn a paycheck too. I don't want to talk about that anymore. How are you going to get the next one into bed? It's always the same question with her. Ask, I guess. Good, she says. Not enough women do. Then she eats and eats and eats, and we both stay so hungry. Do you guys Google yourselves? Like Google, go and Google your own name? It's okay. I wrote a poem about it. We all do it. Sometimes it's great. There's a whole other Nicole living like a wonderful life. She's getting her PhD in like sports medicine, and she plays softball. And she is hard of hearing, but she's like really like living her best life, and sometimes makes me feel like I'm not doing enough with mine. And I was online looking for that Nicole Homer when I found this Nicole Homer. And it threw me off. So the Nicole Homers who's like very successful did not get a poem. This starts with the article that I found. The other Nicole. Tragically, the body of Nicole Homer was recovered just past 3 p.m. this afternoon near LaGrange Road and St. Francis Road in Frankfurt. A cause of death is pending, an autopsy. Please send your thoughts and prayers to Nicole's family and friends during this difficult time. The other Nicole was found near an intersection. I'm not a Nikki, but she was. I never liked the levity of that name. I've never been happy enough to pull it off, but Nikki was. That other Nicole in that other state, her body white and blonde, and me here and other too, but alive, though I do frequent intersections, though I have found my body in places it should not have been, though it stayed there for weeks. I wonder if she ever found me the way I found her, online, looking somehow for herself, and thought, that other Nicole isn't a Nikki, I can tell. I hope if she found me and visited me often without my knowing, not following or liking or friending, just finding me, the way I've stumbled into restaurants and returned again, never quite on purpose, never quite by accident, that other Nicole was once alive and then on a table, scalpel to skin, saw to bone, someone else looking for answers that only Nicole had. In my head, there's like totally a thread that connects all of these poems. So I would like to read probably, and I'm warning you of this so you can like settle in, probably the longest poem in this book. And it is about, if I can find it, it is about memory and childbirth, I guess. Although if I can't find it, I will not read it. although I am sure it's in this book, because I've read this book before. There we go. It's called How I Became a Mother Contemplating Loss. A wall of flyers stare at me as I wait to buy postage. In my arms, a box full of clothes my children have lived in and outgrown. 7 states away, my oldest friend has a daughter small enough to need these things. In the 5th grade, the 2 of us lit fires on the asphalt of an overgrown tennis court. Now we mail clothes. The children pinned to the wall are dated and reimagined older, only 2 boxes. Then and now, maybe. This is the scariest thing. A mother without even a body to mourn. Not ash or DNA evidence, not even a failure of justice. I cannot smell my children through the box in my arms, and I am angry that I washed the clothes before bringing them here. A selfish mother, I would not even part with their scents. I was born dreaming I would die in childbirth. Always the same thick red dream. A screeching and wailing woman on the table. I am cold and there are faces, so many faces all around me, but I am alone. There are voices. They do not talk to me. Then I am gone and the only echo I leave is this new gasp for air, this new cry. When I found out I was pregnant, I nested in the dark, imagining myself octopus or goddess. I cleaned my house and labeled the important papers so my love would know where things were when he and the babies came home from the hospital without me. I did not die. I let a stranger razor me open in a white room. That was the worst smell, bleach and copper, clean metal and my own exposed insides. The worst sound, my love's fearful breath 12 inches from my tears. Then the surgeon asking the nurse, why is she crying? I, tied to the table, plastic Jesus stretched out, wanted to kill her then. I want to kill her now. The woman with the razor. Lice-mouthed rat, featherless crow, rabid and balding cat. This is the beast who brought me my daughters. This is the merchant who sent me home to the labels my love did not need. This is the woman who keeps my death in a box on a shelf in her office. It sits there with all the other deaths staring out at her degrees and starched white coats hooked by the collar and hanging. It is not a comfort to not have died on that table, to be given not 1 but 2 small mouths, and so I went to meet my blood again, to hear it sing a second time, to pray with my only body every prayer I swallowed as a child. Dear, let me live longer than my father. Dear, let me go. Dear, let them love me. Dear, let me forget this. Dear, let someone answer. Pregnant again, I answered. I, alive and fortress and brick tenement and splintered treehouse, answered my want. My body offered me a new dream. A woman as round as I reaching into me, a room dimly lit and gray, voices talking to me, tears and sweat and blood, my screams, and then this newest prayer on my chest, hungry for my body and suckling at me until we were both milk drunk and near sleep, my milk in his mouth, the sweetest thing I have ever lived through. I held him for hours that way. His hair flaked with my blood, his skin sticky with my blood, his blood, my blood. And in the end, there were 5 of us. Me, knife and whetstone, my love, sheath and hacksaw, the youngest, mallet and wheel, my middle child, crowbar and mirror, the oldest by a minute, serrated blade and sandpaper. I don't have the dream anymore. I peeled each label off. My love will have to figure it out when my death finally crawls out of that box and comes to sing me home. So that is the scariest thing, that we do it anyway. The blood, the screams, the milk, that 7 states away there is a woman who understands, who chose, as I did, to risk the razor a first, a second time, that in this post office there are women whose guts smile from the blade, that in the states between us there are too many to count, that my mother told me it was the most painful thing she ever experienced in her life, and I am the youngest of 3, that for each of these flyers someone razored a woman a second time, and there was no cry, no limp body, no blood. I touched my scar through my jeans and imagined a silence as bright white as an operating room and a body, small, made entirely of sympathy cards and missing flyers in my arms, then gone. How are we doing on time? How are we feeling? Like one more poem? Let's do one more poem. 1.5 more poems. Then I'll read 2 poems, and this one I just don't read it. I like reading it because I miss my kids. So I am the Dartmouth poet in residence at the Frost Place, which is a lot of words. And I'm not going to see my kids probably until August 15th, which is the longest I've ever been away from them. They're 6, and I have 3. I have 6.5-year-old twins and a 5-year-old. And so I'm mostly going to read this because it makes me happy, and it reminds me of my kids. The children speak. I have 4 years old. I have a ring my Mimi gave me at the store. When I'm a grown-up, I'll give it to my husband and we'll dance like the friends in the pictures in the hallway wall. Mama says I don't have to get married or have babies. She says babies is hard and a lot of work. She smiles and hugs me when she says it. And at night, after the story, she hugs us all, a family hug. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us, but she has big arms. I am 4. When I am 5, I can get my ears pieced like Mama. She says it will hurt, but only for a minute, like a shot at the doctor's office. She says we already have earrings, but no holes to put them in. She has holes in her ears and in her nose, but not us. My sister is afraid. She said no. Mama said it's your body and finished fixing her hair. I said yes. Mama said it's your body, and then it was my turn to get my hair fixed. I like it out my face, not like Mama. She only looks nice when it's out her face, but she don't ever wear it like that. This is very unusual. I'm 3. I like Grandma and Mimi. My sister only likes Mimi. My sister likes Grandma and Mimi, but Mimi more. I like my mom's mom. She say, put that arm up and tickle me. She don't look like me, but look like Mama, and I love Mama. She's got Mama's face, her not smile, her mad voice. Grandma a lot like Mama. I like Grandma. I ask every day when she's going to finish working. She always says in a few minutes. I ask why she works so much. She asks if I like eating. I do. I like corn toasters. I say this morning that her and Daddy need to buy more corn toasters when they go to the store. She say that's why she's working. Mama doesn't play outside with us like Daddy does. She watches us through the screen door and fixes us water in our water bottles. We come in and she says, don't run in the house. Daddy is outside on the trampoline showing us how to do flips. Mama's feet never leave the ground. We be outside for forever. My neck hurts. It's pink like Daddy's. My sisters, their necks don't hurt. They never hurt or turn pink. I'm gonna go inside and get water and sun lotion for Mama and come back. Daddy is teaching me how to jump big. I have a twin, but I look like my Mama. Not just like my Mama don't look just like Grandma. She dark brown. Mama's light brown. I don't have a color for me. I wish I was pink and purple striped. Daddy don't have a color either, but not like me, like baby boy. He only a color when he pink. I wish I was pink and purple striped. Mama never cuts our hair except baby boy. She says we black. I don't know what that means. I'm brown like her. And Grandma says white and black in whispers, but I hear her. Mimi never say white or black. She turned the TV when one of the people on there say it. Mimi wears her hair short out of her face. She asks Mama when she gonna cut our hair. Mama say we're black and Mimi turn pink. I like green the best. I want to be a turtle sometimes. I like sun color yellow. It's my favorite. I tell Mama my favorite and she get her sad face. I ask why she don't like yellow. She don't answer till her unhappy mouth say, I love you. So thank you for having me, by the way. I really, it's like a lovely, lovely space. And everybody I got a chance to talk to before was very nice and welcoming, and I appreciate that. And also I get to be surrounded by books, which is kind of my happy place. And so thank you so much for having me here. I'm trying not to end on sad things, but like it's this book. There's really not that many choices to not end on sad things. So why don't we... Why don't we end on, I think, a fear that is maybe not specific to motherhood, but is specific to parenting, and this is a short one. Why didn't you just go look? I had not slept for months when the baby first quieted through the night. It sat in the bed with me, the still air, hunched over, its elbows on its knees, head in its hands. We waited like that, like two women in the stark pastel of a hospital, for the answer to the always question, is my child? In the expectant look where I dare not place the adjective. Thank you.
I would like to invite you to, we have some crackers and cheese and